So welcome to day 2 of my bike and barge trip through the Netherlands on Monday, June 30th, 2014. We rode from Lemmer to a small town called Vollenhove. The orange line shows the route that we took on our bikes from A to B, which is approximately 50 kilometers. So this day started off pretty similar to the previous one, with us all waking up and having breakfast on the boat. However, unfortunately on this day, it was raining pretty hard when we left, so we were all dressed up in our rain gear, and unfortunately that also meant that I didn't use my camera for filming the beginning of the ride because it would have meant having to clear off the lens every 5 seconds or so. But it also was a pretty dark morning and you wouldn't have seen very much either. So we made our first stop of the day here, which was an old historic pumping station, and there was a little museum that we got to go inside and escape the rain for a little bit. So then we continued on, and our first official stop wasn't very far away in this small town up ahead. The place we stopped was a small coffee place which was right on the canal. By this point the rain had mostly stopped, so I got my camera mounted back on my bike and we continued along. As you can see, the roads that we were riding on through the country on this section were significantly different than the ones that we were on the previous day. The main road is over there on the left, and the cyclists get their own parallel pathway which is paved, which runs along beside it. This section here we were riding along beside the canal, which was neat because we could see boats which were riding along beside us at a similar speed. Our destination for lunch was a fair ways off the beaten path, so that meant we had to ride on this gravel bike path for a short distance, including this small wooden bridge across one of the small canals. Our destination was this old historic Dutch windmill, and this time we actually got to go inside. It was great learning about how windmills work, but it was also perfect timing because as soon as we got there it started raining again like crazy. Most of the mechanisms are made out of wood, including the giant bevel gears, which they used beeswax to lubricate, and they had replaceable teeth as well. The heavy rain didn't last for very long, and we were able to enjoy our packed lunches outside. Afterwards, we all got back on our bikes and continued on along the gravel pathway. It was no longer raining, but it was still a pretty gloomy day. In this clip you can see me riding in the red jacket ahead, and that's because my dad and I switched bikes for this section. In the far right of this clip you can see something that's running along beside us, and it's pretty difficult to see, but those are actually horses that are following us along. Here you can see me taking a photo of my parents as they're riding. And my dad and I switched our bikes back at the next stop. We then approached a small town. This is the first town we had ridden through since our morning break. At this point we were here on the map, which is just at the edge of a large national park. We stopped for a rest break at the visitor center of this park. After that we traveled back through the town and met up with a little pathway which followed the canal. We soon spotted something interesting that we wanted to stop and take a look at. One of the houses was having its thatched roof replaced. Thatched roofs aren't used at all in Canada, so it was interesting to see how they're put together and learn a little bit more about them.
Okay, so now I asked him how do they connect different bundles of straw together. But he says there are wires over the roof that you don't see. Yeah.
How many years do these roofs last for?
20 years, I think.
35.
35.
Last time for me.
This is the last roof.
So we all found that pretty interesting. Here we are continuing on along the canal. All of these houses that we were riding past didn't have any road access. They just simply had access from the bike path that we were riding on, as well as water access from the canal. Even though it was kind of slow and we had to keep going over lots of little bridges, I really enjoyed this section of the ride. After traveling a long distance along beside that canal, we turned right and headed through a forest. And this watchtower was for a prison that was nearby. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure it's just for bird watching. The bundles which we're going past on the left here is the material that's used for thatched roofs. We then got back onto a main road again. And we did lots more country riding. We then passed through another small historic town and stopped for another afternoon rest break. Here we are continuing on and back out in the country again. This was another large pumping station. Some cows and some sheep. Here we are approaching Vollenhove, which is our destination for the evening. Riding through the old historic downtown. And meeting up with our boat, which was already there conveniently waiting for us. Our total riding distance was around 50 kilometers. After a nice dinner on the boat, our guide took us for a walk around the town. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed following along and joining me on day 2 of my bike and barge trip in the Netherlands. As with the last one, I'll also be posting a 45-minute video of just riding clips and music. So if you're into that sort of thing, stay tuned because that'll be the next video that I'll post. But after that, you can look forward to my continuation into day 3. Please leave a comment and let me know what you thought, and thanks for watching.